list of others in attendance will be on file in the clerk's office. Item number 1 is call the meeting to order at 4:15. Item 2, discuss and consider for approval the revision of the FLSA classification for Parks and Building Superintendent position. Ryan, please.
Okay, so this position currently is being paid at salaried, non-exempt, which means they get a straight salary every 2 weeks, and then if they work over 40 hours, they get time at straight pay. Once that position was pulled out and moved to its own department head out from underneath Public Works, that position now, when the wage scale went into effect and those salary changes were made, that position, like all the other department heads, we believe should be made just straight salary. So just looking to make that consistency. And
Questions or comments from the committee?
How much overtime is he working right now?
how much overtime?
Yeah.
I don't have a figure on what he was.
Does I feel like it's something we missed, so I don't.
The employee is fully aware and is of the understanding, because all department heads now, he'll see that offset with the new wage scale. That was, rather than doing it when that happened, we said, then we're gonna have that one-off, which is what we wanted to avoid during the whole wage scale process of adjusting one-offs here and there. It was noted that this will be taken care of and adjusted at the time of the wage scale, and then with the approvals from council, it actually did adjust it perfectly.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I just didn't want to leave anybody hanging.
No,
in the new
absolutely,
year.
good point. Good point, thank you.
Patrick?
Is there any other difference between exempt and non-exempt as far as benefits?
Regarding insurance, vacation, that type of stuff?
Yeah, and
No.
is there any other?
No.
Okay.
Or, Sue, to my not, there isn't really.
I guess
besides-
overtime is, it's exempt from overtime, receipt of overtime or being, having to pay overtime, so that's really all.
Yep.
Anybody else, questions or comments? Dennis?
No, I don't have any questions.
What are the wishes of the committee? Motion to approve. There's a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 3, discuss providing mental health check-ins for fire department employees in consideration of an agreement for the provision of these services with Hofferman Counseling Collaborative. Who wants to go with this one?
I will. We've had plenty of instances in the last 2 years of mental health issues within the department, people that are seeking help on their own. One large issue that ended up poorly last year that I think could have been avoided if we maybe had some mental health checkups once in a while. I think there's plenty of statistics out there that prove that, like police, fire, and EMS are much more likely to have these demons in their head from the things they've seen and had to do over the years. So I wanted to give our members a mental health checkup, basically. We call it a neck-up checkup. We already do a physical on all the firefighters. That's mandated by statute because we're a hazmat team. But this job is tough on our bodies, but it's just as tough on our mental health. So Dan DeRoche, who was our chaplain, brought Janelle Hofferman to us and said he was actually using her on a personal basis himself. Said she's actually, what I can't do for your members. Dan can realize that somebody needs help and point them in the right direction, but Janelle is the professional that can, turn things around, basically. So I reached out because I didn't get this in time for the budget. I reached out and I've got a donation from our charitable foundation, our Firefighters Charitable Foundation, a donation from Crossview Church, and we reached out to the state in our FAP funds. This is actually one of the categories is mental health of EMS and firefighters fits into that category. So we can fund this totally without any money coming out of the budget this year. I'll be upfront to say that, you know, if this works out, I would be looking to put this in my budget next year, but that's next year, so. I think this can prevent a lot. I mean, I don't want to get in the weeds with details and stuff, but we had a lot of money invested in somebody and we lost them because of, I believe, mental health, you know, so. And I guess we're asking that they'll give us the approval to go ahead and do this.
Questions? Jake?
So they'll do the consultations, neck up, check up, but they'll still have the option through our regular insurance to pursue additional.
Yep, so this is just, we're doing that annual checkup. If anything is identified, it's done between the client and her, just like doctor-patient relationship. And if they choose to continue with her, they can schedule with her, and that goes underneath, that she's in part of our network, so she is in our network. So it would go under their regular health insurance.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I mean, I can only imagine what they see on a daily basis. The accidents they show up to, overdoses, etc. So.
Patrick, anything?
Are you done, Jake? Okay, so this is like a starting, obviously nothing's gonna happen. I'm just trying to wrap my head around.
Sure.
I read through the contract and so they're not required, nobody's required to go and
Participate.
participate in this.
So we can, I don't want to say mandate, but we can schedule them to go. Whether they participate, we can't force them to participate. Now, I asked this question, just like I think what you're thinking here, is, you know, so what happens, at the end, if you look in the contract, at the end, I'm gonna get a report of how many did participate or not. So, I mean, we'll use this as a gauge, I guess, but from speaking with somebody from a different organization that's a counselor, and even talking with her, is a lot of people come in there and they'll spend an hour and a half there, and she said, she tries to engage them, even if it's just starting to talk about the Packers, and before they're done, they're actually starting to talk, or starting, even the other counselor that I've spoken with said the same thing. A lot of them don't want to do it because of that cliche of I'm tougher than that, but they actually end up participating in it. I'll give you another example. Wausau did this last year or 2 years, 72 or 75 firefighters, whatever they got. And they only had 4 that walked in and were like, I'm not participating, and all 4 of them, by the time it was done, were participating with it. So, I guess I look at it like this, you know, we do physicals so that we can take blood samples and stuff, and if they find cancer or, you know, other illnesses, they go and see their doctor. Why aren't we doing the same thing for their mental health?
Okay, so this is, you have 39 people on your team there, so there's one session per.
It's a 90-minute session. This is it's kind of like you go and have your physical, and then if something's found wrong, they're going to schedule you. You have the right to refuse anything after your physical, right? If they tell you, I want you to come in for some more blood work, you can definitely say, nope, I don't want to. Same thing here. If they say, here's what we found, we really think you should come in and you know, let's talk about this problem, they have the right to refuse it. But most of them are going to continue on, whether it's with her or another counselor or whatever, but they're going to continue on. The goal here is to catch it and prevent something like what happened last year, or prevent other people having to spend 2 or 3 months, you know, wondering should they go and see somebody, and then, you know, they end up going anyhow. We had quite a few members that go and seek help because of things that they've seen or had to do on scenes and things like that. Quite a few. You'd be surprised the number. And I'm trying to avoid that.
Okay, so this is gonna be a once a year thing.
Once a year.
And it is, why couldn't that be covered under insurance, the initial visit?
It must be an insurance type thing where they won't cover something like that.
Like an annual like that?
Like a physical.
Yeah, I don't think that it gets recognized as it should, and Medicare, Medicaid set a lot of the tone for that kind of stuff, and it's not a reimbursable for, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it shouldn't be, that's where it's being recognized at this point. And then, again, this is, like the chief said, this is just a screening. Anything beyond that screening is, you know, the responsibility of the individual to follow up on.
Some insurances don't pay for physicals or wellness checks or whatever.
Oh, okay. I just need more information on it. It may be a great program, and it might be the best thing ever. I'm sure Jay's for it. Sounds like Jake is for it. I'll just.
Actually, I have some questions too.
Okay. So I don't want to speak for Jay, I guess.
Okay, thanks.
My other question was, is this something where, have you met with this counselor at
Mhm.
all? So you do know her?
So she was in the military herself. She was an EMT earlier in her career. Actually, her grandfather was the fire chief of Wisconsin Rapids years ago. She's actually given us a pretty good discount because we are Wisconsin Rapids Fire Department on top of what she normally would charge. When you look at it, it's what'd you figure it was, $190?
170.
$170 per session. That's cheap when you're talking about a professional counselor.
Sue did bring up something that we didn't really, I mean, at the time, this seemed like a really good fit based on the recommendation and bringing her in. But in our meetings leading up to this and drafting some of this language, Sue brought up a great point of checking with other vendors in the area if this continues to be a practice of ours. And so that's why she had built in, you know, kind of that aggregate of report, but then we were going to do a blind internal survey just to close that feedback loop from our own members within the department to say, you know, hey, this was a program that we enjoyed, we connected, or this was a vendor that, you know, wasn't professional, or, you know, they disagreed with, you know, her approach or whatever it be. And then, you know, if this program continues, there are other vendors in the area that have potentially the ability to serve this provision for us. So
We did that same thing when we changed vendors to do our physicals. Ben actually put together the blind survey and got feedback from our members on that compared to the former one. So,
and not only did that save quite a bit of money at the time, the vendor was just a lot more efficient. They came on site, whereas we had to take members off-duty member to send them up to Aspirus.
saved us money on overtime, it saved us money on travel, but it's you're getting feedback from both sides. We're going to get it from the counselor saying this is, you know, everybody participated, or, you know, not who, but 2 people didn't participate. We're going to get feedback from the people that are actually going to the site itself. So.
Can I just ask a question regarding the feedback?
Are you done, Patrick?
I'm done, go ahead.
You're just gonna get feedback on the number of people went? You're
Yeah,
not gonna get
there's no
specifics?
information coming to us other than all 90 or all 39 showed up and 37 participated fully.
Are you
That's
talking-
about how it would be.
Yeah.
Are you just talking about feedback from her, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause we
and
do-
well, I don't want anybody to feel
No, it's a-
like
it's
they're
a-
scared to go to this
Yeah.
session and talk.
It's like a
because it's
doctor,
gonna affect
patient,
their
client,
job.
or, you know, relationship. There's nothing they're going to feedback to us. Each person will have their own portal that she does all their conversations and whatever with, and communications. So it's just between her and them.
Good.
Well, I have more, but he was talking feedback, so it's.
So first one, contractually, Sue, any issues with it?
No, I don't have any. I mean, we changed a little bit of language from what they had proposed, so, no, I think it's good. It's just, you know, basically for this first first year, and I think, you know, the big part of it, I think, is just that it's help, or it's available. They don't have to worry about their deductible. They don't have to worry about taking off work to go somewhere or leaving their spouse to go to an appointment. I mean, it's just part of the workday. They're able to go. Even their peers, you know, are all going too. It's not like, oh, that guy's going and I'm not. I mean, everyone's going to be directed to go, and then how they participate or whether they do the consultation is totally up to them. But I think it's worth it. And yes, obviously, if one of them felt they had an issue and wanted to see her just as a mental health, you know, therapist or whatever, they could go. That probably would be covered by insurance, or, you know, subject to deductibles and so on. But I think they work through a specific kind of, you know, it's going to be tailored to them, and, you know, they're all going to kind of, you know, be hit. The main, you know, points are going to be hit with each one. So I think, you know, I think it's great. It's becoming more common, you know, to have this done, and we can't, you know, we can't direct them to go, right, or to participate, I should say. That's a whole other, you know, any more than I could make you, you know, go and get checked out, or so. It's, you know, I think it's a great program, and hopefully it'll be successful. And I know the PD had talked about it too, maybe perhaps at some point. But yeah, I think it's more just the convenience, the ability to just kind of have it be kind of discreet, and you know, no barriers to access to this.
So, is this different, because in police and fire's contract, the condition of employment is an annual physical, correct? Could this be bargained, something that could be bargained in, or is this completely different?
I mean, it probably could be. I don't know. I don't know of any. You know, I mean, it's not really. You know, right now it's not recognized as really, you know, an appropriate thing to test, or. I mean, obviously they have a psychological when they're first hired, but there's no continuing examination or anything kind of in that regard. So I guess if we said we wanted to make it mandatory, I guess the unit could decide, yeah, we're all in favor of this, and we're going to have everyone go through it. But
okay. The other thing is we already have EAP available, and I understand through that program they can be referred beyond the program. So maybe
Let me tell you a couple of instances. I've had members that have called EAP and told them that they were having problems, and in a couple of instances never received a call back. Or when they do, it's 3 to 5 days later. When a person's in crisis, they need somebody to talk to now.
So I guess my first question, why wasn't that brought to somebody's attention? I mean, we're paying for a service, or we have a service, and if it's not,
I believe that person did bring it to somebody's attention.
then that should be addressed.
I agree.
But through EAP, do we have any idea how many employees, not who, but how many participate or use that service?
But EAP is, again, it's not a mental health checkup or assessment.
No, but they can get that referral from EAP if there's a problem, correct?
Why? But here's the thing: is we're trying to catch it before it becomes the problem.
I'm not arguing with you, Todd, that this isn't a good program. I'm just saying that we do have things available, and our employees taking good, bad, or indifferent. Are employees taking advantage of the things that we have available now, or are we just? Is this going to be another one of these things that you have 2 or 3 people in the department that take advantage of it, and the rest of them say no thanks?
I think this is a program that we don't currently have offered. We're talking about a licensed counselor that specializes in this demographic. I don't think that we have a program like that. EAP is, well, a program specializing in behavioral health. It's not one specifically tailored for this type of preventative. It's not very common that people reach out to EAP when they're not in crisis or needing assistance. This would be a program on the preventative side. That would be similar to saying, why would there be a preventative checkup with your primary physician once a year? You know what I mean? I mean, you go to your primary physician when you have an issue, but you also go to a physician for an annual checkup for your physical. Do you know what I mean? I think it establishes a baseline better than EAP, something has happened and now I'm potentially in crisis or looking for something else.
Okay, I guess last two things, your funding sources were,
Our firefighters charitable foundation, in their bylaws, they can spend a percentage of the money they raise on mental health and the members, and then Crossview Church, and then our FAP fund that we get from the state every year actually identifies mental health and training and such of EMTs, EMRs, paramedics and stuff. So.
okay. I guess the last thing I have then is, Ryan, have you met with this provider and or do you have an opinion?
I have not met with the provider, Janelle. I have not spoke with her yet. I know she visited PD and fire. Definitely like to see if this happens, and if it's something that, as Sue alluded to, mental health is going to become more and more. I wouldn't be surprised if we're here discussing something along mental health lines in the next couple of years for all employees. I mean, it's not necessarily at this level, but a lot of things you read and hear about mental health is kind of not getting the recognition it deserves, as far as, be it in the insurance world or the employer's world and that type of thing, and then you hear of all these instances. So it's not just picking on public safety, but everybody can go through crisis at any time. So I think everybody's trigger points are that much shorter, or the fuses or whatever things that send a person into crisis.
Well, it could be one instance, or it could be cumulative, just like what we're
Right.
talking about here. I mean, the average person might have one that triggers them on one instance, a child
Yep.
death or whatever, but cumulative, when you're seeing that, and you're seeing somebody that hung themselves, and somebody that shot somebody, or somebody that bled out in front of you because of traumatic injury, that's cumulative. And that's what we're trying to get, is the triggers that are shown in that assessment, and try to prevent that from turning into crisis.
Sure.
Jake?
You had asked one of my questions, which was the funding sources. I would just like to say overall, I think the EAP, if that's the case, maybe we need to take a look at that, because certainly I believe for emergency services, you look at some of the calls they go to, just that you hear about, there should be a touch point. I mean, obviously they have their colleagues, but if the EAP is hard to reach, like that 3 to 5 day wait or whatever it is, that is concerning. But and again, that's another reason I support this is it sounds like they went and raised the funds before they came, which I appreciate. On top of that, I think it's a good program. So.
Anything?
I don't have anything else.
Mayor? Dennis?
Me?
Yeah, you're Dennis, right?
Well, I don't know what, basically, what does the department feel about this? I realize you said 37 out of 39
Yeah.
went there, but
We haven't
what
done
are their
it yet.
feelings?
Yeah,
We haven't done it
yet,
yet.
but-
We're trying to, but we've got full support of the union on this. The more we talk about this inside, I have yet to have anybody tell me, I don't want to participate. And I see every member of every crew, in a week's time, and it's been talked about for the last month.
We do a lot of our crew meetings, so the alignments of the crews happen around this time of year as people either resign, get promoted, whatever it be. And so this time of year, especially in January, you sit down with an entire crew, you talk about your goals, vision of the year and stuff like that. And this was something that was brought up to all three crews. And I haven't heard any negative feedback, or not that I'm aware of. Nobody has come to the chief and indicated that they're really against this program at all. I know that their union and state organization have a lot of initiatives surrounding this, including what's called member assistance program where they, pseudo train some of the members within fire departments that they have kind of an awareness level. So they have many different initiatives like that, but again, we've never had on our fire department at least, a licensed professional that individuals can go to other than, EAP. But again, the members got to take the initiative to do that, and it may be at a point where, it's, they're trying to play catch up a little bit.
In other words, at any time, the department heads would not recommend them to seek some help? I mean, can you do that, or?
I don't know legally if we could mandate it unless it became, and maybe that's a better question for Sue, but maybe a part of a
Well, if
performance
it's
improvement plan? Or?
Yeah, I mean, if it's affecting, if we believe there's something that's affecting their ability to do the job, and then we probably would have, we could order them to, go to someone to be evaluated, and then that, things might flow through that. But just to say, oh, I think you should, I think you should go do this, and probably not. I mean, that's why it's totally voluntary, and, to at least get them in the door. And then they really need to provide the services. But yes, if it reaches a point where someone in the department is realizing that there's an issue with someone, we can take steps, obviously, for their safety and the safety of everyone else's, to have a fitness for duty or something like that. But that's really, when you're seeing, probably at that point it might
Pretty
be
late. Yeah, pretty
might be
late
late,
now.
and might be
Yeah.
a kind of more of a crisis.
That's what I was
thing,
gonna
but-
say is, that's what we're trying to prevent with this, Dennis, is try to identify those triggers, or try to identify that before we get to that point, and fix it ahead of time, so that we don't get to that crisis point, or that point that there's, they're showing signs that we almost need to force them to go there. So that's what this program is to identify and prevent.
Do you sense a problem with some of the employees right now?
Well, I know there's people that have
Okay.
some.
So this would
mental
be a
health issues.
benefit for
Absolutely.
you people then?
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Is there a second? I'll second it. I guess the only comment I would like to make is I kind of wish, and I think before too long, that this provider should go up to HR and sit down with them. I think that should have probably been one of the first stops. So, with that being said, there's a motion on the floor. And
I was just gonna have you maybe add the fund, with funding through the donations from
For the motion.
IAFF, Crossview, and then the FAP funds, so that the funding is outlined.
It's the IAFF
Do you wanna amend your
charitable
motion?
foundation.
Yeah, it sounds like I have to. Say that again.
To be funded with donations from IAFF.
It's actually the Wisconsin Rapids Firefighters Charitable Foundation.
Oh, okay, Wisconsin Rapids,
Firefighters Charitable Foundation.
Okay.
Crossview Church, and FAP funds.
FAP. Okay.
Can we find out what that stands for, or can I just use FAP in the minutes?
You can use FAP, that's how it's on accounts and stuff, so.
Motion to approve the item to be funded by donations from Wisconsin Rapids Firefighters Charitable Foundation, Crossview Church, and the FAP funds.
I'll second it. There's a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I abstain.
2 ayes and 1. All right. Thank you.
Patrick, what is it that you would like to?
I just want more information.
About what?
Do you want to get that?
Like
that
Like
survey?
what he had, and I wanna look and see, typically mental health is taken care of.
Oh, I'm so, yeah, what do you prefer?
So I wanna
Put
see
it on
what
there,
other
yeah.
places he's done, and,
No.
that's
I
what.
think who else might be doing it, or?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we can get some of that stuff.
Well, I know that Wausau is, so if you wanted to reach out to somebody up there.
Yeah,
Is something available?
there's actually a company down in the Milwaukee area that made a business out of this. They consulted with safety organizations down there, and they just do counseling. This neck up to the checkup thing was a term that they actually created down there, and they just go from public agency doing public safety, these things, and then they get business out of billing everybody, and then eventually their clients typically come back after they build a rapport with them. So we can get some other departments. So departments, I'll send you that slideshow, or I'll get it through chief, and then anything else that you can think of? Or?
No, this was all, like I said, I read through the
Yeah.
contract, and this is something we just got.
Can we discuss whether she should
Yeah.
come here today? Maybe it's best to have her at council after she gets up to HR and then
Yeah,
meet too.
we could definitely ask her to come to council, I mean, if that's what you guys would like.
I would like that, and I would really like that she get up with Ryan and his group before council as well.
Yeah.
Ryan, weren't you gonna go and see her when I gave you that quote last fall? I thought you said you were gonna walk down there and see her, because she's right down here in Lady Letter.
Then once right, we talked about it, but then once I knew a budget wasn't happening, and
Maybe you can like throw a stone to her office. It's like
Yeah,
right
she's
across
right in the Midwinter building down there.
Okay. I guess moving on, item 4, set it, next meeting date. How does Tuesday, February 6th at 2 o'clock work for everyone or anyone?
That works. Wait, 4:15.
2? Well, there's finance at 5,
finance is at 4.
so we could go, what time works?
After.
After finance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think we can do this for,
I mean, yeah.
plan it for 5, and if finance runs late, we start late. Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right, item number 5 is adjournment. There's a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Jake and Patrick.
Yes.
What time did you agree on your next meeting?
5
5.
o'clock.
5
Thanks,
o'clock?
everybody.
Hey,
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, no problem. I was gonna add that.
Wait, let me finish. Okay, meeting adjourned at 4:48.
Yeah.
Thank you.